So how do you write your own procedures or your own functions or methods, whatever you call them? How do you write your own procedures in Scratch? Well, what you can do is you can actually make your own block. And the way you do that is the very bottom, the last thing. Right here it says My Blocks. If I click on it, it says Make a Block. And if I want to make a block, and I don't know, let's say I just wanted to make a block called, let's just call the block, say, hello. All right, and I just say, okay. All right, so I want to define what say hello does. I don't know, let's say it just comes in here and says, say hello for 2 seconds. Now, when the green flag is clicked, nothing happens. But if I were to actually put an event down here that says when the green flag is clicked, if you go to My Blocks, you drag in say hello, when the green flag is clicked, this is calling the procedure of what you created. So it finds the say hello procedure that you created. Some of you might call a procedure a function, the same thing. It finds the say hello procedure and then goes down here and does whatever was defined there. That's a simple version. Let's say you want to create parameters and you want to eventually pass arguments into it. So you go to My Blocks and you make a block. Let's make this one a little bit more difficult. Let's call this procedure add two numbers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept user input where I'm going to add two numbers together. So I can click this once, add number, and then add number. Maybe I'll call the first number that's the procedure. I'll call that X, and the second one I'll call Y. All right, and you can add a bunch of different things in here. Add an input. You can number a text if it's a Boolean value or just a label. I'll say OK. All right, so I've defined a function, and what I want it to do is, let's say whenever this function's called, I want to add the two numbers together. I want to add X and Y together. And I want to assign it to a variable. I don't know, let's just create a variable called Z, right? So maybe I'll make a variable here. And I'll just call it Z. And I'll hide it. I'll drag the Z in here. All right, so I want to do this, but then also I want to be able to print it out, right? I want to make sure I'm able to present this. So maybe I'll say set my variable to, maybe I'll do it that way. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll say set Z. I don't need this, right? I don't need this. Set Z to X plus Y. And then, I don't know, let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and say the answer. So instead of saying hello for 2 seconds, I'll say the answer for 2 seconds. All right, so notice when I create this block, this pops up here. So if I want to add it to my green flag, when the green flag is clicked, say hello, right? It does that for 2 seconds and goes away. But let's say I want to add two numbers in here, right? Maybe I add an input. Maybe I can accept some user input here and make it valuable, right? So I can maybe say like enter a number, and I'll set whatever. I'll rename my variable. I'll just call this num1. So I'll go ahead and ask the user to enter a number, and move over here a little bit. Ask user to enter a number, and then I'll set whatever number they say to that. And then I'll ask again. I'll say enter another. Enter another number, and wait, maybe I create another variable here. Instead of num1, I'll say num2, and I'll say enter another num2. All right, so now maybe I call this add two numbers procedure, and I throw in num1 and num2. So let me walk through what I just did. All right, so first, maybe I'll drag this over this way so that way I can fit everything in the same screen. I'll do this, I'll move this over here, move this over here. All right, now I can see everything. So I defined two functions. This one didn't have any parameters. This one just said say hello. This one has parameters. So when the green flag is clicked, it's gonna run the say hello procedure. It finds the say hello procedure, looks all over and says, oh, there it is. And it says hello for 2 seconds. Right? And then it asks a question. It says enter a number and wait. And whenever the user says, I'm going to set that number to num1 as a variable. And then I'll ask again, enter another number, and it will set a new variable called num2, whatever they entered. And then I'm going to pass both of those numbers into this function or procedure that I made called add two numbers. And I'm going to pass number 1, number 2. So when number 1 gets passed in, number 1 can now be referred to as x, and number 2 can now be referred to as y. So then throughout, like let's say I run the program here, hello, enter number 4, enter another number 2. Now as soon as I click 2, x will be 4 and y will be 2. I create a variable called z, and it takes 4 plus 2, that's 6, and then it should say 6 for 2 seconds. Ready, watch. And it did. It worked. No matter what numbers I type in, it's going to add the two numbers together. I create this procedure to run over and over and over again. 7 and 7 plus 1 should be 8. Make it 8. And as you see, it highlights. Here's something important. Look, see how it's like highlighted here? Say hello. Now it comes back here and it's waiting, right? So I do like 372 and 980 or 961. Notice it's highlighted, but as soon as I click, right, I'll click here. Notice that this highlights, and this is running for 2 seconds, and that's all. And it worked. So that's how you would create your own blocks, create your own procedure, and then add your own parameters and arguments into when you actually call your procedure on Scratch.